Hello, this is Ben at Fitness Beyond 50, and today, to me, is quite an appropriate day to talk about bipolar and or depression. Now, I'm going to be talking from my personal experience, and hopefully some of the things that I'll be talking about will help somebody else. The reason I say today is kind of an appropriate day, it's kind of a gloomy day, and if you suffer from depression or you suffer from being bipolar, uh, gloomy days can definitely add to the disorder. Many times people don't understand the disorder. I will say that you really need support if you have chronic depression or if you have the bipolar disorder. Many people will shun away from you. You're going to lose a lot of people because it's a very, very tough disorder to deal with, especially if you're in a relationship, a marriage, or a close friend. I have a close friend. People that are considered normal will not be able to really understand what's going on. One of my best analogies, I tell people, when you're really, really in a depressive state, someone could give you $1,000,000, give you a 5,000 square foot home, a Maserati, and you would still be unhappy. I will say that in my experience, things that triggered it, there's triggers, but things that really triggered it was, a lot of people have had a tough childhood. They've been, you've been molested. I'll just say for my thing, I went from being molested to being raped by these men, molested and raped by these women, living on the streets, living in group homes, just being abused on a lot of different levels. But even though you have those things happen to you, and there's still ways to combat them. And it's whether you believe in a God, or whether you exercise, or whether you learn a new language. And I will say that you do have to find some coping skills outside of medication and or hospitalizations. I will say that also that the hospitalizations that I've had, a lot of times you are over-medicated to the point where you cannot function, to the point where you're drooling, you're just staring off into space, and it's a scary situation to be in. If you become combative like I have been, you're going to be tied down or restrained, you're going to be given medication, things of that nature, and it's a very, very tough ordeal to go through. Unfortunately, in today's society, so many people who have bipolar disorder or depression, you're the forgotten, just like the seniors were forgotten. Basically, insurance usually doesn't cover long stays for people who have mental illness, but if you have alcoholism or things of that nature, jobs seem to be more lenient as far as holding your job and getting you help, but not when you have a mental disorder. Most of the time, you're going to eventually lose your job if you're unable to function for an extended period of time. For me, what has helped me, besides medication, is prayer and exercise. And actually, I'm learning, you have to learn to distract yourself. And I'm actually learning a second language, which helps keep me focused. A lot of people that are bipolar are extremely intelligent people. We're usually very driven, but then we have the other side where you have so much energy you don't know what to do, or you become oversexed, or you become extremely sad and you just can't get up or function. You constantly lay there and you bargain with yourself, I'm going to get up, I'm going to get up. Your brain is telling you to get up, but your body doesn't allow you to get up. And it's very, very debilitating. It's very humiliating. And, a lot of people that have bipolar or depression, we go walk through life, and some people don't even know that we have it because we get real good at hiding those things, because so many times you feel like a second-class citizen. You feel like there's something wrong with you. You feel like everyone's looking at you. And then when people do find out, believe me, some people will truly just leave your life or your circle, or they will use it against you. And in my case, I've had a lot of people use my bipolar disorder against me. where they knew exactly what they were getting into before they got into it. And they tend to play on that because they know that when you have certain episodes, certain things can happen, and they can twist those around to make it look like you're a bad person. And of course, it's very cruel because if you suffer from depression or bipolar disorder, guess what? When people attack you, all that does is compound the disorder. That only beats you deeper and deeper into that dark abyss that many people never pull themselves out of. And believe me, it takes a very strong person to pull themselves out of a bipolar disorder. I will say that lithium, that particular medication, is a hard-hitting medication. It can mess up your liver, mess up your kidneys. You need to definitely follow up. But just remember all these medications that they have out there, from lithium to Abilify to so many other different medications that they give you, they are only there to help with the symptoms. It is not a cure. So you have to be diligent every second of the day to work with it, because so many things can trigger you. You just become so hypersensitive, at least I do, to noises, to being around too many people making a lot of noise, to sounds at night when my ears are extremely sensitive, snapping at people. Now, a lot of people that probably know me who are watching this video are thinking, we never see that. Well, I've become very good at controlling it, and that's one blessing. But I will say to people who are non-resistant to medication, like I have been, they do have something called ECT, which is electric convulsive disorder. Now, in the dark ages, yes, it was very primitive and barbaric, and now it's more sophisticated. You're actually put out or under anesthesia when it's being done, and so it's a lot more humane technique. Now, from my personal experience, the first 3 to 5 sessions normally will work for me, but after that, they tend to taper off and they're not as effective. I still find myself, being honest, that, times where, I'm going to sleep for an extended period of time, or I'm going to get up and I am going to clean the kitchen, I'm going to do the laundry, I'm going to clean the house, I'm going to straighten out my car, I'm going to shave. I'm going to just have all this excessive energy, and I'm going to put that into doing all these other tasks, or going to the gym, or maybe being oversexed. It's just, those are what they call the manic part of it, where you have all this excessive energy, and then there's days that it's all I can do to pull myself out of the bed. I just want to pull the blinds, make everything as dark as it can be, and I don't want to be bothered, and I have this feeling of impending doom, and I just want to get off the ride. I start thinking about all the negative things in life, and I start worrying about the world. I start worrying about things that haven't even happened. My mind starts racing, and my anxiety level goes through the roof. And there's nothing that anybody really can do to help me but just be there and make sure that I don't do anything destructive to myself. But to ask someone to be in your life when you do have chronic depression or bipolar disorder, it's asking a lot. So if you do have someone that supports you, you really need to also do your part to try to help them understand, but also to not put so much of your disease on them. And that's the best way that I can say it, because most people who don't suffer from it chronically, meaning depression or bipolar, they will never understand someone feeling impending doom or wanting to take themselves out. Or some people self-medicate, some people drink alcohol. There's a lot of different coping skills. And I don't downgrade anybody for their coping skills, but try not to find a coping skill that's going to cause more problems. Just, for example, if you turn to alcohol to try to deal with the racing thoughts and suicidal thoughts, all you're going to do is possibly cause more problems. If you start doing drugs to try to numb it, it's going to cause more problems. Now, for me, I've attracted other people in my life that are bipolar, and what I find that if you're trying to feed off of each other, what's interesting is that you become their drug. So they start feeling really good because here you are in their life and they're happy, and then they stop taking their medication. And that is one of the things that can get you into a lot of trouble if by not taking your medication. Now, I have been very blessed with being able to control it with prayer, exercise, and having a really good support system. But I will say that sometimes I will overtax that system. Now, what people tend to do is when they find out that you have chronic depression or bipolar, for some reason they think you're crazy. I don't get that. They think that you can't think anything, so they think that they can manipulate you and take advantage of you. And I want to say to people, when you are dealing with someone that has bipolar disorder or depressed, manipulating them, that is cruel. It is point blank cruel to manipulate them and have them do things that you want, or have them do things that they wouldn't do, because we fear being by ourselves as we go through this disorder. Hell, even if you're single and you don't have an issue, people don't want to be by themselves. But when you have this disorder, you really, really want someone in your corner, especially someone like me who grew up without family, grew up without siblings, grew up as a ward of the state, things of that nature. And many people who are bipolar have done things in their life. They might have got in trouble with the law. They've had a lot of screwed up relationships because of being bipolar. And people tend to like to throw the negative in your face. And I'm just going to say that's something that you really shouldn't do. The other thing is telling somebody that's bipolar or depressed or that have chronic depression, oh, just hang in there, tomorrow will be better. Oh, just keep praying in it. Oh, we're there for you. When you are in that state, there is really nothing anyone can say or do for you besides being there. Okay, it's really up to that individual, and hopefully with the medication or with whatever coping skills that he or she has, to pull themselves out of it. And I give anybody credit that who has the disorder, that live and function on a day-to-day basis doing well. Because there's times that I can tell you I've gone 7 years, 10 years with no episode or anything like that, and then boom, suddenly it's on top of me full force. I don't make excuses for things that I've done or things that I've said. It is what it is. The only thing that I can do is live with it and do the best I can with what tools that I have in order to deal with this disorder. Because so many people give in to this disorder. They give in to drugs, they give in to alcoholism, they give in to sexual addiction, they give in to working out too much. The bottom line is you have to want to make the change. But I will tell you, there's people, I call them haters, there's people out there who will attack you and do everything they can to try to get you to have an episode. And that's sad, because they have their own insecurities and things of that nature. And when people have their own insecurities, they're looking for someone that's weak. So many times they look to people who have this disorder as being weak, and that's so far from the truth. So they know that they can try to trigger us and get us to go off, and then they can say, look, I told you so. The other thing that's sad about having chronic depression or bipolar disorder, we're one of the number one people who get killed by law enforcement. When law enforcement comes against someone like me, they tend to, especially with my size and things of that nature, and then you put bipolar on top of it and you're out of control, it's very easy for them to shoot you and get away with it. So just be advised, we get arrested and we get hurt more by law enforcement than just about any other group of people. And that's a really, really a sad thing. So just be aware, if you have a loved one that has a bipolar disorder, don't try to call the cops on them all the time when they're having an episode. I know it can be scary, but also sometimes you're going to sign their death sentence, because law enforcement will not hesitate to take out somebody that has a mental illness, because they're going to feel, because they can be hurt, and no one's going to even give it a second thought. The bipolar person might have, some type of weapon or something in their hand, and they're millions of miles away, because I would have blackouts and things of that nature. So anybody that's watching this really knows me personally, that doesn't see this or know about it, it wasn't something that, I'm going to hang out on a shingle, but at the same time, understand that, as you can see, it is something that you can live with. You can still be successful. I have not 1 but 2 degrees And so I'm very successful as far as education and things of that nature. But in my personal life, have I made a lot of unhealthy decisions because of my disorder? Absolutely. And no, am I using that as an excuse? No, because you still have to what? Accept responsibility for your actions, and I do that. But if you look at all the signs and symptoms that come with it, you'll understand this disorder a lot better. But what I'm saying is that it can be lived with. You can have a productive life. You can be happy, because you have to want to be happy. You have to want it. You've got to fight. Okay? Every second of the day, you have to fight. Don't give in to this disorder. Don't let it beat you. Okay? Don't let it beat you. And don't let other people who really have their own issues, manipulate you and try to use you to make them feel better about themselves. If you're on medication, stay on the medication. If you're non-resistant to it, try the electroconvulsive therapy. So try biofeedback, try self-talk, try massage, try I'm learning a second language. Find something to get that overactive mind engaged. Okay? Try to put yourself in a position where you're learning things, that you're distracted. Don't try to put yourself in a dark room by yourself just with your thoughts, because that's just going to get you in trouble. Okay? So find out what your triggers are and work to find coping skills to work with those triggers. Don't let people hate on you. You know what? Screw them. Let them think what they want to think. I'm going to be doing a live stream on this. Please join me either later on the evening or tomorrow. And so we can talk about different coping skills and just kind of find out what's going on in your life, because you're not by yourself. You are not by yourself. Okay? Just understand that. There's a lot of us that are working right next to you that have this disorder that you would never know. So that means there is a healthy way to deal with chronic depression or bipolar disorder. Okay? So, you're not a demon, all right? You're not evil. You're not the worst person that ever walked the earth. You don't need to be thrown away or forgotten. Okay? Be a productive person. Be you. Love yourself. Okay? So we'll talk about this later. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to leave comments below. This has been at This has been at Fitness Beyond 50, saying have a great day, have a blessed day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.